another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys doing well. I'm back in recording my card tonight. Just caught up with lots of things going on today, but I wanted to get one out tonight, and hope you guys are doing well. Keeping on your conquest, keeping with battling every single day, because it is a battle. We have to continue going against those forces who will tempt us. A lot of temptation today. Springtime, getting a little warmer. People are getting a little more into trying to tempt. But keep diligent, my friends. Keep on the course. And no matter what happens, you got to keep going. A lot of the bouncing into each other, touching types of things. I experienced a lot of it today. But keep going, my friends. Remember, the goal is for you guys to continue on your purpose for God's purpose. Do not allow temptation to make you release. All right. So, some shout-outs real fast before we get into our topic today is going to be depression and SR. Can semen retention help solve depression? I will try to give you my opinion on this in a minute or so. But anyway, some shout-outs. Our friend from Paris, and I'm probably going to mess this up, but Moesic Joelle, thank you, Moesic. Fruits, thank you. Virgil the Buddha, Belladamma. Now, Belladamma is I hope I said this, Belladamma, is a woman who had a tremendous response, and I focus on this sometimes, and I think I'll go back to that one, I think, in another type of video. But when we talk about this, a lot of women tend to respond back, and they're not in disagreement with some of the stuff that we're talking about. And the biggest issue really is the fact that what you're trying to do is build a relationship between a man and a woman. And a warrior knows that his job really is to protect and to provide. And when you're having a head shift of responsibility where both people are giving, then that's the best type of relationship you're going to have. And I don't care what they say, and people are saying that, different types of things out there. But the idea is you want to have a relationship where you have men and women acting like men and women. The masculine man does the things he needs to do in that relationship, protect his family, protect the children, and provide. And the female is the one who basically, and it doesn't matter if they provide or not, they can also provide, they can also do things. But they need to be feminine. And I think that's something the male wants. And the female, from all the discussions I've had over the years, they want a masculine male that they can depend on, and it's someone who's going to be strong physically and be there to protect them. And that hasn't gone away, and that will never go away, because that's the way that we talk. So that's the way we act within our God-given types of abilities that we're given. Anyway, Belladamma, thank you so much for your comments. Diante White, 10 months. Congratulations. Keep it up. BT and Koneki and Touka C fan, 46 days. So keep it up, my friends, and we'll continue doing some shout-outs. All right, at 3 minutes and 30 seconds here, let's go through this idea. This comes from popsant and NAR 1992, talking about depression, low energy, and SR. All right, so my relationship to this has been that I have been depressed over the years. I haven't been depressed in at least 1,050 some days, that's for sure. But I haven't been depressed for a long time, and a lot of this connects back to semen retention, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I don't have clinical research on this that you can see, you can try to find some research on. But all I can tell you is that those times where I was depressed in the past, a lot of it was really kind of related back in some form to releasing too much, becoming weaker, and then starting to worry about things and getting more and more upset. A lot of this comes from a mental state you're in where you're talking about being stressed out, worrying about everything, and it's easy then to start getting down on yourself and feeling hopeless and all these things. Now, I'm not talking about, anything dealing with stuff that's mental illness and things like that. I'm really kind of talking about a state of mind that you're in when you lose your energy. I don't have research on the other stuff, but I can tell you that as a warrior, I felt the worst times in my life, I tried to actually, and this is where I was really messed up, warriors. I felt that, okay, if I was depressed, I was going to go ahead and release more because that would help me relieve all the tension. And this is one of those fallacies that we hear in society. It didn't help. It may have helped for a couple minutes, but then I felt worse. And I was a little more jittery and and worried and all those type of things. Those things happened because I was basically releasing so much that I could not really kind of have all my nutrients and protection inside of myself and be as strong as I could be. The strength now is powerful. It wasn't that way back then. And I do think there's a high connection between those. Now, it may not cause it. We don't know. I don't know a lot of the causes for depression. But I will tell you that it accentuates it. It does hurt it. Because the bottom line is that you're not being yourself. You're wasting all your energy and you're becoming less of a warrior. And obviously becoming less of a warrior, it's almost like you're wounded. And a wounded warrior can fall for depression, anxiety, all those type of things. There's a great type of story with Satan passing out cards as far as like different types of, not viruses, but plagues on people. And people started looking at these plagues, and Satan had to say which is the one that was the worst of them all. Well, he didn't pick some of the ones you think he would pick, like floods and famine and things like that. He picked depression. And the reason he said that was because if I get people depressed to lose hope, I can attack with them and all other ones. And this, warriors, is a key thing. The key thing is you got to keep yourself fit. And I'm talking about fit from a semen retention standpoint, along being fit from physical standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, and an intellectual standpoint. Because Satan is always coming around to get you. Temptation is always around. And no matter what it is, it could be in a woman. I tend to have that issue over the years more than anything else. It could also be greed. It could also be overeating, smoking, drinking. I never had those kind of issues, fortunately, though I empathize totally with people who do. Drugs. But the temptation from women is a tough one, because there's nothing wrong with having a healthy sexual energy, and we men have given that. Napoleon Hill said that. It's tremendous. Those people accomplish a lot, but only if you transmute it, and only if you're able to kind of make it from thinking about the women and transferring that energy to goals. Now, I'm also going to get a book, one of our last, and I'll have to shout it out when I get a chance, but thank you to the person who just kind of shouted out about a book, a person who is the immortal, I guess 250 years old, and I had never heard of this book before, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it, which I did already, and I'm going to take a look at this, and I may present some ideas to you guys about this. I think certainly one of the goals that we have is longevity. I think longevity is great. I think certainly, accomplishing something in all those years is even better. But the bottom line really is that there's something to the idea that you have to kind of live within your spiritual world and keep all of those things you have that God has given you. Like I said, the only time you should be releasing is when you're trying to have children. Now, I realize that's a very radical point of view in this society we have now. They're telling you releasing twice. I don't know if it was in Google or where it was. Twice a month or something like that, or twice a day. I can't remember what it was. Twice a week maybe. The bottom line is that if you think about it, you realize that this makes no sense whatsoever. Right? It makes no sense whatsoever if you look at this in a logical way, because this wasn't the case thousands of years ago. People weren't recommending doing this all the time. In fact, the Bible believes you're unclean. Your discharge is unclean. Now you have to become clean for a whole week. You shouldn't be discharging at all. And I think that's very, very true. The bottom line really is that unless you're going to have a child, you should not be releasing. You should be transmuting that energy. And I know that's the tough part, because then we'll talk about monk mode and when these coming up. But having monk mode and not thinking about it is really your ultimate level that you're totally away from it. Now, you can't help it if people, especially when the weather gets nice like this, and you got people, especially in our society, not other societies, other cultures tend to have the women all covered up so the temptation is not there. In our society, you see temptation every block you go. Because women in this society that we have, they're dressed in ways that are tempting to men because of the visual nature of things. So you have to even be more aware of time of year it is. This is the time of spring, love, temptation, all those things are out there, my friends. And as long as you're doing it with a one person, I would say married to, but one person, then at least you got some level of control of what's happening here. If you start going ahead and start going to a lot of other females and you're releasing, I think it's very possible, popsant and NAR 1992, that you're going to end up having low energy. And this is where it's easy for Satan and go ahead and get you depressed, hopeless, be hopeless, and then all of a sudden, now you can succumb to any kind of illness. A thing that's interesting to me, I always found, is as I see people who are passing away over the years, when you talk with them, they know it's about time to go. They have already resigned themselves to the fact. Now, in my mind, and I understand there's a lot of things to it, so I'm not going to comment that's good or bad. But I will tell you one thing from my perspective, and I had this perspective when I played football. You're going to have to carry me out on a stretcher, knocked out, before I end this game. And that's kind of the way I feel about this as well. You should be, as a warrior, like any warrior, you are going to continue to fight and fight until you can't fight anymore. I remember that great movie that I watched called The Last Samurai. And I love that last scene where the people were going into the gunshot firing. And it kept going. And the leader, he died, but he kept going. And the bottom line is, as a warrior, you never accomplish anything. Same thing in the movie 300s. You don't accomplish anything unless you go after and you keep fighting it and you keep battling. And so warriors, we have to have the mentality that we're never giving up on this, continuing to be the best person you can become. And I think one part of that is self-control. You will live a lot longer, in my opinion, and you will be a lot more healthier. I haven't been sick in I don't remember how long anymore. Been years. I don't get sick anymore because I know I have all the things I need inside of myself to protect myself. Now, will I get a cough, maybe a runny nose? Yeah, those I've had over the years. But nothing that debilitates you. And warriors, you cannot be in that situation. Every day is a new day to a great warrior. And that's important. Again, every day is a new day to a great warrior. So you need to be healthy. You need to be fit physically, mentally, spiritually. And of course, you need to you got to keep your seed and not release. And transmute that into great, spectacular types of things you can do. All right, again, thank you guys. Popson, thank you guys, NAR 1992. Thank you, Belladamma. I appreciate that, young lady. Great comment, and we'll have to kind of talk more about that. I think I actually have one of those topics under here. Yes, value to a relationship. I think that's very important. We'll talk about that in maybe 2 or 3 episodes here. So thank you guys for all your comments. Once again, I appreciate all of them. And keep on moving ahead, my friends. And remember 2 things. First one, we just said this. Every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number 2, don't you forget to